It's an extraordinary things are happening in the world today. Everything is being turned upside down very quickly. But those things had seeds in an earlier time. It is just that it's finding focus in a man that enables us to see this revolution occurring. We have to find such types of men in our own world. Okay, it doesn't stop there, because something revolutionary is beginning. We are finding things in Africa every other month that is startling. It was reported to Dr. Finch, they found a cobbled road in the Congo 50,000 years. We don't even know what to do with that. They found a mine, mind you, in Zimbabwe, I think it was. They found a mine that is 43,000 years old. It's in southern Africa. I'm not sure it's in Zimbabwe. It's somewhere in southern Africa. They found a mine that is 43,000 years old. It doesn't prove that Africans were smelting metals at that time. No, but they had dug a deep pit far, far below the ground with underground chambers to mine hematite and specularite. We have found things that startled us. The Russians informed me that they had found perfectly ground spherical crystal lenses in ancient Egypt, indicating that our people had already got lenses. That may explain how the Dogon were able to make certain observations in the sky. Observations that startle us, because for their time, it's amazing that they had such precise calculations. The Egyptian thing makes us aware of so many things. When you look at the great dynasties, you look at the breakthroughs, the advances that were made in that time. You look at the pyramid, for example. Let me close on that. The Japanese tried to build a pyramid in 1978. It was a disaster. Now we credit the Japanese with all the fine technological knowledge. But do you know what happened to the Japanese? The Japanese said that we first are going to try to break the stone up in the quarries using the bronze tools that Egyptians had in that time. Sheikh Antediop had told them clearly that these Africans were not using copper and bronze tools when they were building the Great Pyramid, because you cannot cut granite with those tools, and that they had actually found an iron hoe. In the interstices of the pyramid, they found Tutankhamun's bed made of iron. They said, no, Tut got this bed from outside. Probably got it out of Asia. So the Japanese tried to cut the stone, the tools broke. Do you know what they end up doing to cut that stone? They had to use air jackhammers to cut the stone. Then after they used 20th century air jackhammers to cut the stone, they put it on the barges to bring it down the Nile. When they put it in the mud, first of all, the barges capsized. They assumed that the Africans just put this thing, and they were not picking up 50-ton stones like Africans, the Japanese were picking up 3-ton stones. But when they put it on the barges capsized. They had to use modern steamboats. Then they brought it down the Nile, and then they started to put it on the mud. It sank in the mud. They dragged it, it sank in the sand. Eventually they got it up in the desert. Then come heave-ho like in Hollywood. Can't work. Would not work. They could not put those stones in alignment. The stones got cracked. The stones shattered. The stones were messed up. When we go to the African pyramid and we go on the base of the pyramid, we found the casing stones are absolutely perfect. The Japanese tried to cheat in the morning when they thought nobody was looking, they brought in their helicopters. They took the finest 20th century cranes. They couldn't do it. They could not put those stones in proper alignment. Do you know what we have discovered? that the Africans put those stones in an alignment that is 1/1000th of an inch of mathematical perfection. The only people in the 20th century who achieved that alignment are not stonemasons, opticians and jewelers, dealing with fine gems. They were bringing the skill of the optician and the jeweler to deal with massive acres of stone, when these guys, whom we consider to have the finest technological abilities, could not do it. They left in disgrace. They had to abandon everything. The Egyptians threw them out. Let me say the post-Egyptians. So that pyramid is an astonishing thing. You cannot even see it today. When it was finished, it had a polished limestone covering. It shone when the sun hit it, when the moon beamed upon it. It shone like a star upon the earth. You could see it across the Sahara, hundreds of miles away, like a star upon the earth. There is nothing built since like that. It is half the height of the Empire State Building, but it takes up 12 blocks of Manhattan. One building. It is so large that the stones that were put in that pyramid, if it were cut into 1-foot cubes, it would circle 2/3 of the belly of this planet. Do you understand what we're dealing with? But it was possible to those Africans because at that point in time, the African thought of himself in a certain way. This is very important. They did not have television sets and radios and spaceships, but they had an extraordinary sense of wholeness. They had incredible spiritual power, a sense of the majesty of spirit. So they attempted things that would daunt any people before or since. My wife and I went to Egypt last year, and we went to see the quarries at Aswan. That is what I wanted to see more than anything else. I wanted to see the obelisk they abandoned at Aswan. And I went down in the ground and I could not understand how could they abandon this. It must have been a hell of a thing to cut it. It looks like if it had been cut by lasers. And I had to search, I had to ask, where is the flaw? Why did the Africans abandon this? The flaw was so minute it would have taken several hundred years for it to show. But we had to be perfect. We couldn't deal with mediocre stuff. We didn't want to put up something that would be gone in 100 or 200 or 300 years. It had to last forever, as has the pyramid, as has so much that the Africans have built, including the human body whom they preserved for thousands of years. We were not satisfied in that time with mediocrity, as today we are. Oh, it doesn't really matter, it's a black thing. Let's do it how we please. We talk about time, colored people's time. When we created the clock, we created the water clock and the sun clock and the shadow clock. Even Galileo used the African water clock in his experiments. Even in this country, the man who first developed a major clock was Benjamin Banneker, a black man. And we moving about as this, the only marvelous thing that we could bring to the culture is to show that we don't respect time. When time is the very center of discipline, it is the very center in the restructuring of man. Now we can't go back thousands of years to this civilization, but consciousness does not have time. Time is a fiction. Time is arbitrary. Time is made by us. What we can go back to in consciousness is an awareness, a consciousness. This universe, consciousness, does not have limits in time. What happened 10,000 years ago or 10 minutes ago occupies the same space in consciousness. We are the universe. And therefore it is possible, drawing upon this heritage, drawing upon the power, the electricity, the dynamism that springs from these discoveries, we can get a sense of ourselves, which takes us out of this mediocrity, out of this sense of being enslaved, out of this sense of being inferior. We can reconstruct ourselves. We can remake our world because of this feeling. We can remake man. We can remake our children. We can remake the world in which we live. Because drawing upon history, drawing upon the past, we recreate the quality of the present and thereby project ourselves into a totally different future. Thank you very much.